Coach Taylor's right behind me there somewhere, so he should be here in just a minute.
All right.
Well,
Hey,
here.
good morning, good
Quicker
morning.
than what I thought.
The guys that we have with us today are both Coach John Taylor and Corky Cochran. And if you don't know these two guys, then welcome to Polk County.
Okay, I'm Coach Taylor. I'm a retired coach, but came back into coaching here at Livingston. I work a half day, but I coach all sports here at the junior high.
I'm Corky Cochran. Been here all my life. On Cochran Funeral Home. Been a member of the Livingston Fire Department for some 52 years.
Well, I basically knew everything about it. And I was one that didn't wear a mask. I was reprimanded by our sheriff, Kenneth Hamrick, when I was eating over at Rutcher Brothers. He was in front and I tapped him on the shoulder. And he turned around, he had a mask on. He said, "Coach, where's your mask?" And it was in my pocket. He said, "You need to put it on." I wish I would have listened to him, because it wasn't about a week later that I got the COVID-19.
Well, I was pretty familiar with it because I knew Coach Taylor had gone through it, and I knew that there was times that he wasn't doing real well, and I was extremely afraid for him. And then, watching it go through the summer and being in the business I'm in, we began to see the sad endings. So we knew it was bad. I knew it was bad. I tried to practice safety, wearing a mask, but coming into contact with so many people, maybe let my guard down somehow, and I'm not really sure how. Fortunately, my case was not nearly as bad as the case he had, but it's out there. It seems like the numbers are growing and growing every day, and it's something that we all need to try to avoid, because it affects so many people in so many different ways.
Well, I was in a bedroom for 5 days before I had to go in the hospital, but my wife tried to take care of me, but I did quarantine, and I didn't come out of that room. I just stayed in there, and she brought everything that she could bring, and for 5 days I was there. And then I had to go to the emergency room. I was in that room. It was dark and it was lonely, but that's where I was. I was bedridden. Yeah.
Well, what I did, I just stayed out of sight and out of mind. Just kind of like Coach Taylor, at least had a TV and could get access to the news. Of course, it was boring because I couldn't do the normal things I normally did. And the first 6 days was just low-grade fever from time to time, and then there was about 3 days in there that I just felt terrible. I didn't want to eat or drink anything. It just tasted horrible. And I woke up one morning and I'm on the right side, I guess, and began to feel better. And by the 15th day, I guess, 15th day, I believe, I went and got retested, and I was clear. But during that time, at first I worried about myself, and then I got to thinking, why worry? There's somebody else that's got all this. I'm in someone else's hands. The good Lord's going to have whatever plan He may have. So, through the worst part of it,
Yeah.
well, that was right in the middle. It was about 3 days that anything that I tasted like you poured salt in it. I didn't want anything to eat. Anything that I drank tasted terrible. So just forced myself to drink Ensure, and some Gatorade was about all I had. I did wind up having to go on, I guess, that third night that I felt so bad. I was getting dehydrated, so I went and to the emergency clinic and got a bolus of IV fluid. And actually, the next day I began to feel better. So,
Coach, I know you kind of went through stages with yours. Can you kind of describe how it went for you?
Well, like I said, but before I say anything, I know that Corky called me every day. When he had it, I would call him every day. We'd check on each other. But it started out, and I was at home, and then I was having problems, and then the 5th day, I got it July the 4th of all things. And all my family were there, but they were outside, and I was inside it because I didn't feel well. And when they left, I got where I couldn't breathe, so I called my daughter, and they brought me up to the exceptional emergency clinic, and I tested positive. So when I went home, I was quarantined at the house in that room for 5 days. On the 5th day, it got real bad, and my wife come in, and I was basically screaming, hollering, because I could not breathe. And when they took me in an emergency room, the lung doctor here put a machine on my face, and it felt like I was a dog going down 59, 200 miles an hour with my head out the window. No, it shook on my cheeks and everything. And they had to leave it on a while because he told me later, after it was all over and I went for a checkup, he said, if I hadn't have put that on, Coach, you would have died.
Really?
And he said, I've had 3 more, not as old as you are, that have passed. But if I hadn't used that machine, then I went into the hospital, and I cannot say enough. They saved my life, and I swear by that. And I was there for 14 days. They helped me, and then they sent somebody from Illinois. I believe she was a doctor, and they brought them remdesivir. And she asked me if I would be willing to try an experimental drug. And she said, you do not have to do this unless you want to. And I asked her, I said, what is the worst thing that could happen? And she said, it could kill you. You could die. I told her to her face, I'm dying now, which at that time it was so bad, I didn't think I was going to make it. And so anyway, I took it, and then they give it to me in an IV, and there was 3 nurses and a doctor standing there, and they had to stand there the whole time and watch it go into my veins. Of course, I'm laying there thinking, I don't feel nothing yet, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the worst part about having it, the worst mentally, is being in a room by yourself for 24 hours for 14 days, and you might have seen somebody a total of 1 hour in a 24-hour period because they come and check your vitals and stuff. The doctors, after I was having, I couldn't breathe, then my heart started messing up, really racing when it wasn't supposed to. And Dr. Manny here at the hospital, they did all kinds of tests. And everything was all right. It's just, he said, Coach, these are the after effects. You're out of shape. You being a coach, it's going to take you maybe 6 months to get back where you were. I went to the lung doctor, Niger, and he told me the same thing because they thought I had a blood clot, but my lungs were clear. I did go home with oxygen, but I didn't need it after a week. After 14 more days out of the hospital, I had to be tested twice in order to go back to work, and I was. No, I didn't have any pains. It's just I would breathe, but I wasn't getting it. It was like I was suffocating. Mm-hmm. And as far as eating, I was opposite of Corky. I could eat anything I wanted to, and I'd eat a lot of it. And some people have the smell and the taste where they can't taste food and they can't smell. I didn't have that. A lot of people have that. I didn't have that.
Corky, I know obviously the business that you're in, you see a lot of the bad side of it and
Yes.
the worst of it. The people that you know that have gone through this, or families that you know that have gone through this, is there any kind of stories that you can relate?
Not really, it's just the tragedies and them, a lot of them second guessing themselves, as you know, what could we have done different not to have contracted the disease. You know, I think each case by case has its own story of you know, when someone passes away. It's tragic, but I think the biggest thing is second guessing how they could have avoided just catching it to begin with.
Other people that you know that have had it, have they had similar experiences to you, or closer to what Coach Taylor's gone through?
Some have been just kind of like mine, you know, just feeling bad, fever, and then there's a number of them that have been close to death's door, just like Coach Taylor, that didn't know if the next breath was going to come, and you know, the good Lord took care of them and got them back on their feet. So
It's just something that nobody wants to go through.
Yeah.
Nobody. I don't care who it is. I don't have to know you, but I don't want you to have to experience what I experienced.
Any family?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. I would say, number one, mask. Number two, wash them hands. And if you can, isolate yourself away from people you know that have it, or they may have it.
along those lines, what I would suggest to people that don't have it, tomorrow they may, but like even once I got it, for those first 5 days when I didn't feel so bad, I would get out and try to walk as much as I could to keep my strength and conditioning up to prepare for the worst. And when I got through with those 3 or 4 days that I felt so bad, and I wasn't near like Coach Taylor. I didn't want to get out, but I got back out and started, walking again. So, number one is preparing, keeping yourself in a decent physical condition. If you're haven't had it, but you're not one that gets out and walks, I would suggest, walking, any kind of exercise to maybe kind of prepare yourself, because you never know when you're going to, when it's going to come along. And then once you have it, or if you think you may have it, if you have the symptoms, go ahead and get tested. The idea of the test is not a pleasant idea, but I've had it done 5 times, so I'm a veteran of the test, and I've lived through all 5 of them. But it proved what needed to be proved. So, that being said, don't hesitate, and then make sure you're in contact with your family physician, or if you don't have a family physician, get one, because there's medications and there's things to follow up, and whatever they tell you, follow those advices, and plenty of fluids. Drink. That's key to any illness, and once it's over, what I'm finding out, I think Coach Taylor has heard the same thing. Y'all probably have too. There's nothing written in stone that you can't turn right around and catch it again. So that's why even though I've had it, he's had it. That's why I still mask up.
Guys, thank you so much. I know anybody that knows you guys know how busy you guys are, and I appreciate you guys carving out a morning for us to come do this. I think it's really important for people to know, and I think if they can relate to somebody that they know that have had it and hear the stories that you guys have, maybe it hits home a little bit more, and it's something that we can all kind of hopefully avoid in the future. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you guys doing it.